There are so many interesting, scary, mind-bending, strange, and exciting things happening in the world of education today. And as most of those changes happening, especially at the federal level, are rumored or executive orders that must be codified in legislation or are now in the courts, it is difficult for us to provide you with a great deal of information that can be used in planning your educational future. And yes, we realize that although Harvard and Columbia seem to be at the center of the current administration's blast radius, the implications of taxing endowments and regulating international student attendance and the pressure to define and/or regulate free speech will have impacts on every college of every type. The implications, once determined, will be widespread. Colleges are not without their faults in their administration of rules, regulations, and campus safety. We are not in the business of reading tea leaves, legal or administrative. However, we can try to help you understand all the issues a bit better. There won't be clear answers on most of these, but at least we can provide some context so you can review your school. Hi, I'm Margaret Meek, and this is College Education is in a State of Change in June 2025. Let's start with the discussions surrounding the removal of tax-exempt status from colleges' endowments and foundations. Colleges utilize their endowments to direct donations to areas within the school that need specific or consistent financial support. Areas such as funding dedicated faculty positions, academic programs and research, student scholarships, operation and maintenance of campus facilities, among other things. Individuals and business entities donate to the foundation to support these programs. In return, they receive tax benefits for their donation to a tax-exempt organization or a well-defined program or recipient. And the endowments and foundations can provide more support for these areas because they aren't paying taxes on the funds they receive. Taxing these funds will be extremely detrimental to most colleges and universities. We cannot imagine that the government can tax one or two schools without taxing all schools, even if a college is not currently involved in the public discussion. What does this mean for the students at your school? If your college or the college you intend to attend finds its foundation taxed, student financial support will likely decrease, which may result in reduced student enrollment. Another threat is that the federal funding will be withdrawn from specific schools if those schools do not fulfill the list of demands sent to them on behalf of the government. The vast majority of the money provided to private colleges is used to fund research. All kinds of research, but research. By pulling federal funds, the college will lose the funding necessary to sustain these research programs. Some of the research may seem obscure, but all of the projects involve grant applications or contracts. Cancer research is one of the most popular research projects mentioned as being undermined by the withdrawal of federal funds. There is no question that the withdrawal of funds will be contested in court for months, if not years. What will happen to the funding if the research grants are canceled? If successful, the government funds will be spent elsewhere and not reinvested in the college research process. There is also a push to demand that universities and colleges protect Jewish students, to reduce anti-Semitic rhetoric and action on college campuses. The government is stating that the leadership of these campuses must ensure the physical and mental safety of their students. Or in other words, students should be able to attend all their classes, use all school spaces, and walk freely on campus without being threatened or hearing threatening rhetoric. Even if one wishes to make the free speech argument that protects all forms of speech-based protests, events of the past few spring semesters have proven on many campuses that college leadership has had a great deal of difficulty protecting Jewish and other students. Students' free movement on campus. The idea of how to protect speech and protect minority students is up for debate. Announcing, dictating, or legislating that colleges will lose funding if they don't provide these protections does not solve the freedom versus harassment dilemma, but colleges cannot continue to allow students to be harassed. How does this affect you and your school? You should review how the leadership of the college or colleges you are considering attending reacts to protests or speech opportunities on their campuses. How have they handled protests that stop students from accessing any area of the campus? And most importantly, measure how safe you will feel on campus. If you don't think you will be safe, if you don't feel safe, find a way to make your case to the school's administrators or transfer to another school. There have been several statements from the government indicating that they will revoke the accreditation of campuses that they believe aren't protecting students or are ignoring requests from the administration. Accreditation is essential as receiving it from educational evaluation organizations allows students and faculty members to be assured that the college is academically and financially sound. However, you will know, we said that accreditation comes from education evaluation organizations, not the government. While the government or its officials may be able to apply pressure to decision-making members of that organization, the government does not directly control the accreditation of any college. Therefore, the chances of the government removing your college's accreditation are not great. However, you do need to double-check the accreditation of your school, just to be sure your diploma retains its value. International students attending U.S. colleges and universities have become a focal point for government officials. There have been threats to remove colleges' international student admissions process. The State Department has halted travel permission for many international students, even for those seeking to enter the United States. The government indicates that it will evaluate each application before allowing students into the country. More specifically, the government has challenged the processes for the application and acceptance of international students at Columbia and Harvard. The government contends that these schools have not done a strong job of vetting individuals who may have a history of actions that are considered dangerous or antithetical to American interests. Government officials continue to request that schools provide a list of international students who have been admitted. There have been, and probably continue to be, international students in the U.S. for nefarious purposes. Colleges can do a much better job of reviewing international students' applications and histories. The government must support those activities. Yet, international students need to continue studying in the U.S. The U.S. wants to be a beacon for the brightest. We want U.S. students to learn from and compete with the best and the brightest. The breaking points for the number of international students, as well as how they will be assessed, must be addressed by both colleges and the government working together. Let's hope that happens. How does this affect you? Colleges, community colleges, and universities accept applications from international students. The cultures they represent, the opinions they bring to class, and frankly, the money they bring to the school are all valuable components of a healthy campus. The money comes in the form of tuition and donations to the campus. Again, campus administrators need to be mindful of the percentage of student population that comprises international students. One last area of great discussion and trepidation arises from the announcement that government officials wish to close the Department of Education. This would mean that much of the legislatively designated programs, such as Title I, student loans, and support for various other programs that promote educational outcomes for students with special needs, would need to be transferred to different state and federal governmental departments. For example, student loans are rumored to be transferring to the Treasury Department. The issues encountered with FAFSA completion and student loan repayment hurdles will make transferring these issues to another department challenging at best. All of these changes have not been codified and will, depending on the budgeting process, as funds would need to be allocated. So we have doubts that this closure will be clean and without impact on education at all levels, but there is just too much that hasn't been decided or enacted yet to make a clear point. We hope that all involved will be clear in their intent and evaluation of their processes. The impact on your education is yet to be determined. Keep an eye on the news. One significant outcome of the discussions about the focus and practical workings of colleges has led a group of Yale faculty members to undertake a review of the school and its direction. They asked for an independent commission to propose changes that will allow the university to choose scholarship over bureaucracy. If completed and acted upon, these proposals could change the trajectory of all colleges. With the growth of administration in every college over the past few decades, this shift would be seismic. Again, at this point, these issues are all being litigated and appealed, which will need to be legislated, and all proposals, demands, and threats will likely change several times before implementation. As with much of what is happening in the world today, there is a whole lot of sound and fury that may or may not signify nothing. Stay on top of the news with an eye toward the impact it will have on your college once implemented. You can't write off all that is happening as only impacting Ivy League or top-tier colleges, so keep your eyes and ears open. If you have any further questions, please note them in the comments section below. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel.